Hey, sports fans, it's Larry Eder. It's Socialing the Distance. Our guest today is Quentin Butler, who has competed in summer sports as well as winter sports, and he's now a educator and a high school track coach in Corpus Christi,
Uh,
Texas.
Pecos, Texas. Yes, sir. Pecos,
Say it
Texas.
again now.
Pecos, Texas.
Wow. So, how big is the school?
You said what?
How big is the school, Quentin?
It's a 4A school. It's a pretty small school. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Are you enjoying teaching?
Yes, it's my first. So my first year teaching, I was in PE, and it was
Okay.
a lot of people were like, "Oh, PE, you have PE? That's like the best teaching job ever." But I actually wanted to get in the classroom because I actually wanted to like get more hands on with the kids, teaching and stuff like that, and educating. So I actually like it a lot. I actually like it a lot. Like I said, the classroom sizes are small, so you get to interact with the kids a lot, and then that one-on-one time with the kids and just building bonds and stuff like that. So I enjoy it.
Cool. How did you get into track and field?
I ran summer track for maybe 2 to 3 years actually. I played baseball and more than actually track when I was growing up. But so summer track for about 2, 3 years. I made it to the Junior Olympics in Ypsilanti, Michigan. I think it was maybe 2002 or 2003. I forget the year. And I ended up getting sixth place in the Junior Olympics in long jump. Never touched the track again until high school.
Wow.
Got into track and field, but after I made it to Junior Olympics, I kind of dropped it and I was focusing on baseball and football. And then I gradually got back into it when I hit middle school and high school. So I didn't touch the track again until maybe about 4 or 5 years.
Do you still follow baseball still?
Not really. I kind of phased out of that too because my dad is a huge softball and baseball guy.
Cool.
He coaches back where I'm from, Rockport, so a little about 30 minutes away from Corpus. So my dad's heavy softball, and I watch it here and there. I actually went to a Yankees game for my birthday in New York last year. It was last year. I went to a baseball game. I caught my Yankees. So go Yankees! If you're Yankees fan.
No, I have total respect for softball. My dad was a fast pitch softball guy, and I knew about like the king in his court, the old timer who would go and take on professional baseball players and strike them out. And, it was always a lot of fun. So I'm always around that. So you've gone 663 at the 60. You've gone 996 at 100 and 29.5 outdoor, 29.1 indoor?
There's 2091 outdoor.
Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
2091
Awesome.
16160. Yes. Yeah, 60. Yes, sir.
And you're one of a handful of American track athletes who figured out, hey, this winter stuff's kind of interesting. I mean, in my era, Rod Milburn, who was a famous hurdler, and Willie Davenport, who was a famous hurdler, they watched what the East Germans were doing, bringing in their sprinters into bobsled and skeleton. What intrigued you about the skeleton competition?
Going into that TV show, that event, I was kind of trying to build off or trying to get my confidence back because that year in track had went really bad for me. Wasn't really a good year for me running. So I went into it with like this open eyes, just trying to get my confidence back, like I said. And so after I had won the show, the coach had came up to me and was like, do you want to do skeleton and rugby? So I actually went to 2 camps following winning the show. So I tried out rugby, went to rugby, and then I actually, did the skeleton thing. And that's when I found out about the whole kidney transplant and stuff like that, or the kidney failure like that. But I actually enjoyed skeleton. It was scary because I hate roller coasters. When people say I hate roller coasters, like, how the heck did you do skeleton? But for me, it was a lot. It wasn't as bad as a roller coaster, in my opinion. So, because you're on the ground still, technically you're on the ground still. So, but it was exciting. It was scary at the same time. It was pretty exhilarating though.
When you did skeleton, what was your job? Getting you guys a good start?
Yes. So the push was really important, and we worked out on that pretty much every day out there, Lake Placid. Just getting used to pushing, like while you're holding the skeleton, the sled was pretty. So like the first few for the first few days, we only we started at the number 4, I believe, or number 4 turn in Lake Placid. So we just laid on and they just pushed us down, pretty much.
Oh, cool. Cool.
The top, we actually were able to actually run with the sled. I was still kind of scared, so I took maybe like 2 or 3 steps and just hopped on it because I was still kind of scared going full speed. But I had actually won the push championships that week going into it. So I was pretty good at pushing, but I was scared to push from the top.
Oh, sure.
Speed at that point.
Oh, no, they're flying, man. I mean, I watched that. It's fascinating to me, but it scares the heck out of me, too. So give my admiration.
Your head's like maybe an inch from the ground. So.
Oh, man. Wow. Were you, so in the stories that I read, it said when you found out that you had kidney issues, you were pretty surprised.
Yes, I had no clue. And that kind of goes into how I was talking about how that previous year had gone, like that track year. Bad. So I was in kidney failure from base training in maybe November, December of 2017, all the way until I found out when I had to get my blood drawn after I won the skeleton competition. So going through that, I had no idea. I mean, I just thought I was out of shape because my back was always hurting and I was always. So I was just thinking, okay, man, I'm out of shape. I'm out of shape. Just keep pushing yourself, keep pushing yourself. It'll come along. And it never came along, pretty much. It was a surprise when I had found out about it. I found out about it after I went to the eye doctor appointment. My doctor had called me and he was like, "You need to get to the hospital right now. You're in stage 5 kidney failure." I was like, "Stage 5 kidney failure? I had just got back from a whole rugby camp and then skeleton camp. Like, what do you mean I'm a kidney failure? Like, how does that happen?"
Yeah.
So I kind of took it in stride. I actually made a video when I was on the hospital bed. They were taking me back to get tests done. I had made a Snapchat to the song "Riding Dirty."
Yeah.
So I'm kind of the cups half full type of guy. So I try to take the best or be positive about situations, stuff like that. So, but it was still kind of like, oh, this is real. Like I could possibly die from it. So it was kind of a surreal experience for me going through that whole process.
How long did you have to wait before you got a transplant?
So I found out in the fall, so around, when I found out, September. I forgot when I found out that I was in kidney failure. It was towards the summer. I think I waited maybe 5 to 6 months because my best friend of 17 years gave me the kidney.
Wow.
So I got the kidney transplant in March 2nd of 2018. So I think I was in kidney failure for about 5, 6 months. Well, I knew about my kidney failure for 5 to 6 months.
Yeah.
But it went by pretty quick because I had a donor list of about 5 people, my college friends that actually were willing to donate to me. And then,
oh my gosh, that's amazing.
So I had a lot of friends that stepped up and helped me out. And then, like I said, my friend of 17 years, she already knew her blood type. She was on my list. Actually, she was like, I already know my blood type. My blood type matches you. We just need to go ahead and get it done.
Wow.
So actually working out and stuff like that. And I had actually found out she was a match while I was asleep. My mom came in the room crying. She's like, you got a match. And she's like, it's Gabby. And we're just crying and stuff like that. And then it just quick, the whole from finding out she's a match and then getting the kidney. So it was pretty surreal.
How long did it take you to feel like you could do your normal activities again? Did it take you a while to recover?
I was in the hospital for about 4 or 5 days. I walked out. They tried to get me to
Sure, yeah.
I was like, no, I'm walking out of here. Like, I have to walk out of here. I walked in here, I'm walking out of here. Wow. And from that day, I jogged for the first time on the treadmill. I was walking around my apartment complex the day after, really. And then I started jogging about 5 to 6 days after my transplant on the treadmill, just trying to get moving along. But it hurt. Because I had nerve pain still from the surgery. But I was pushing. So it took me about a couple months to get back in the groove. I went back to training that fall still. So maybe 2, 3 months afterwards, I went right back to training. I was dying. That's probably the hardest training I ever went through because learning things. Like I said, the nerve pain was shooting through my hip. Yeah. So even after doing the warm up, it was hurting me and stuff like that. But it took me a while, and I still ran that whole indoor season. I actually my PR at 60 was 661, and I hit 62 the following year after I had gotten kidney transplant. So I was back because when I ran at 661, I ran 996 that year.
Yeah.
So I was really looking forward to. I had touched no weights at all, so I was feeling great. But I ended up pulling my hamstring in the indoor championships, USA championship. So after that, I had lost my contract, also my night contract. So I was like, that point I was at crossroads. Like, do I keep going or do I just transition to that next phase of life? And I've always wanted to be an educator and a teacher and a coach.
Cool.
So I was like, make that dive to it. So that's why I made that little dive into teaching and coaching.
So now you coach and you teach. Now, do you also do private coaching as well?
I do private coaching. So I'm out here in Pecos. So I coach football and track out here in Pecos. We just getting in track. Our first meet is in 2 weeks, February 20th. Yeah, February. So we're gearing up for that. And then I have my private coaching in Corpus Christi, where I'm originally from. So I like going back home and coaching kids that came from where I came from and just helping them achieve their same goals.
What if you were talking to a group of high school kids right now who are, what would you tell them about being a sprinter? What give me 3 tips for high school kids on being a good sprinter.
I would say patience, being detailed and learning, being detailed. So the coach, make sure you learn the details of how to sprint. It's just not going out and just running, and then just be confident in yourself. So those are 3 things I would tell a high school athlete, because coming through high school, I wasn't confident at all until I had gotten my mentor, who's been my mentor since high school too, David Montano. He was a major factor into me like growing as an athlete. He always loves telling the story. I ran 11.7 my sophomore year. He had put me on JV. He was like, no, you're not fast enough for varsity. You're a JV kid. You're a JV kid. I was like, Coach, I'm not no JV kid. What do you mean I'm the fastest in the school? Went out there. I got maybe 5th or 6th at that JV meet. Ran 11.7. 11.7 my first track meet when he came in. That same year, I ended up in 10.9 and making the state.
Wow.
And just being patient. It kind of seems like it happened overnight for me, but what the work that I put into that year after, like, he had guided me and like challenged me, I went from just practicing that one time in the afternoon to I actually started lifting and practicing in the morning plus working out in the afternoons. So, like, that's how deep I dived into it, because I really wanted it. And he challenged me. Just being confident, being patient, and then paying attention to details is really important to developing as a sprinter.
Where did you go to college?
UT Arlington.
Oh, cool.
Yes, sir.
Wow. Now, who was your coach there?
It was Jordan Durham and Tyrone Egger, and the head coach. Yes, sir.
And you did the 100, the 200, and the 4x1?
4x1 and the 60 meters. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, I even got thrown in the 4x4 a couple times.
Wow. What do you... so running the 4x1, if you've got a group of fast young kids at high school level, what do you tell them about the 4x1? How do you get into their heads? How do you help them feel like they're a team?
They're a team. Just I feel like that team bond goes through, it kind of builds out through the year, like base training and then training together. You dying together on the track, you have to pick each other up off the track, off the turf after a hard rep. So that chemistry kind of builds throughout like the base training and throughout the season, and trusting each other, with the handoffs, stuff like that. I haven't got my 4x1 kids out there yet to actually like talk to them. A lot of my guys, being at a small school, the kids are in different sports. So about 2 or 3 of my guys that are actually going to be on the 4x1 in basketball right now, and that ends about 2 weeks. So I haven't been able to get them, but they'll build that trust over the course of the whole track season, and just being confident going out there on the track. 4x1 is about confidence. It's having fun too. You're out there with your guys, who you've been dying with. And so you're out there going confidence, having fun. Yes, sir.
What is the pandemic obviously has been affecting us for now. It's a year. When did you realize that it was going to start changing things for you guys? Was it in last year?
Yeah, or during COVID, it didn't. I wouldn't say it really affected. It didn't affect me until I moved out to Pecos, because that first year when I was in Corpus, it kind of shut down everything.
Yeah.
But we weren't coaching anymore. It's pretty much done. Hey, you're online. Nothing's happening. You kind of feel the effects of it this year, because during football season, kids are testing positive for COVID. Teams are testing positive. Everybody's testing positive. And you're like, how do we keep this healthy? And especially me, because I have a compromised immune system. But the school did a great job of testing kids and then isolating kids if they got COVID, and then contact tracing. So the school and the district did a great job about that. And that's one reason I'm still in the classroom, because they actually gave me the option to teach online because of my condition. But I trusted them, and because of the plan they had laid out and stuff like that. But it's changed a lot, but I feel like it's also helped a lot of kids because they're able to, like I said, the numbers are a little bit smaller. So you're able to give that more attention to the kids, and like, you find out who actually wants to be here. You actually find those kids that actually want to put the work in.
Do you have daily track workouts for your kids?
Yes, sir. We work out Monday through Friday. Monday through Friday, every morning practices for kids that can't make afternoon practice because they're in other sports right now, like baseball. So they'll practice in the morning, and in the afternoon we get those guys that actually are like full track guys. Yes, sir.
What do you love about coaching track and field?
I love because it's an individual sport at the end of the day, you know. So you actually find those kids that want it. You know, you can't hide in track. There's nowhere to hide. It's 8 lanes. You're out. So it's a gut thing. Do you have it or you don't have it? You're gonna rise to the occasion. You're gonna fall. And you get to push yourself to like your max level. That's what I love coaching about track. You guys get to pull out. You guys get to pull out that out of kids instead of like in football or other sports. I mean, you can do it in other sports too, but you actually like get to see a kid go through the phases. Like they're down, you know, they just had a bad workout, and then you get to encourage them and build them up, and they're like, oh, I can actually do this. I can actually push through this hard workout and actually like break through things they had mentally and physically. So that's really what I enjoy about track, is just the mental physical barriers that kids that get to push that they never thought they could push through.
Dude, when I coached high school, the way I bonded with the football coach was I told him that if he gave me his kids in the spring, I'd take them to the weight room, I'd help them develop their speed, and I'd keep them fit.
Yes.
Do your football kids do track as well?
A lot of the kids are coming out. Last year, I wasn't here last year, but from what my understanding, I think we had maybe 11 kids that came out for track last year. And we right now, or other sports are coming out, we're already at like 15, 16. So we're already past that limit for what we had last year. And
great.
Basketball kids or the baseball kids there. So our numbers going to be a lot bigger. And old Chad, our AD here, and head football coach, done like a really good job of pushing those kids to do track. And then the head coach, Sterling Jones, has done an amazing job of going out there recruiting kids like, hey, come out and run, and just getting kids to buy into our program. Because the first year both back here, he was here 2 years ago, left, and then came back. So we're building the program back up, and kids are actually trying to buy into what we're telling them and coaching them on. So it's
awesome.
Yeah.
Events, you do the sprints and the relays?
I do. I do sprints, 4x1, 4x2, the 1-300 hurdle, and long jump and triple. So I'm coaching 5 events.
Wow. Yeah. What do you look for in a jumper?
In jumper, I would say like in all my events that I pretty much coach is confidence. You know, I like kids that have confidence, and then the want to, you know. So if a kid's willing to go out there and learn it, because we had our first long jump practice yesterday, so kids were actually going through the drills. You know, a lot of the kids in certain high school programs, they never did actual drilling and they actually a good jump or a good sprint. They've never done any of that. So I had them doing penultimate step drills, and then I had them doing the takeoff drills that you land on the mat with one knee, cycle a knee, and they're like, "What is this, coach?" It's like, I want to try. So it's like you get those kids that want to come out there and actually try because they're actually learning now. They're actually learning. Yeah. So it's pretty exciting. But I like a jumper that's pretty explosive and fast too. But I like working with any type of kid. Really, I just like coaching kids and building them up pretty much.
That's cool. With your recovering from kidney surgery, do you have to get checkups every 6 months? How does it work for you?
So right now I'm still on once a month. I haven't moved on to like 3 months, 6 months. Not to say that I'm not doing good. It's just I switched doctor here. So this doctor's a little bit more hands-on, which I don't mind. Like she's really hands-on and deep, like keeping me on, making sure I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. So I go to Dallas once a month. So every month I drive about 5 hours. Takes about 5 hours away. So I drive check up and then make sure everything's good.
Yeah, people forget about how big Texas is. I mean, I used to drive from San Francisco area to LA in 7 or 8 hours. And I remember driving across the state of Texas, and I think it took me 2 days, you know? It was like, oh my gosh, it's big. Yeah, yeah.
It's huge.
Do you have interest in competing anymore, or have you moved on to a different place in your life?
I still fight that. My Jones jokes about it with me all the time because he makes me do like the acceleration, make me show the kids, and I still have it and stuff like that. So I actually told him I want to run at a Texas Tech meet this year, but I didn't come to fruition.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, the desire to run and do scaling and stuff like that, you know, but the main reason I got out because, like I said, I lost my contract, so that financial support was gone.
Sure.
And it was hard to work and then run at the same time. You know, like it's a lot to handle. Plus, try to run at a high level and compete with the Trayvon Bromels and Justin Gatlins. You know, you can't to compete against those guys. You can't have something else on your plate. You have to be fully committed to running track. And I know now that I can't do that. Really. So I still have that desire to run, you know. I might try out masters. And
sure. That's cool. That's cool. Let's tell our readers so how long did you, were you sponsored by Nike?
I was sponsored by Nike I had a 3-year contract with a 4th-year option. Yes,
okay. And during that time, what was your average time working out a day? Was it a couple hours a day, 4 hours a day? What was it?
Maybe 3 to 4 hours a day. I mean, combined with the weight room and track practice, so about 3 or 4 hours a day. Yes, sir.
And where were you doing that at?
I trained at the college I went to, UT Arlington, and I had my training group. So Tyrone Edgar coached me, and then I had Clayton Vaughn and Daryl Gray and Philip Redrick in my training group. Sure. Guys that I college and ran with the college. Cordero and Clayton both went to UTA. So I had that training group. So it was a small little training group, and that's where we trained out. Yes, sir.
What's it like? Had you ever had to train alone?
A couple of times, like if they're not there or they're at a meet, because we all didn't go to the same track meet. So if somebody by yourself, but training by yourself is really a mental thing. Because me personally, I need a coach there because I know I'll probably slack off a rep or two. I just know I need somebody that's on me the whole time, and that's why I really out Jordan and GB because they held you accountable for everything. Like if you're slacking, they're gonna let you know. If you're not doing the right thing, they're gonna let you know. Because like even when I came back from my kidney transplant, Jordan was training us for a little bit before Coach Edgar came out there, and she let me know. It's like I was dying on one rep. She's like, "Why are you out here? Like, why are you here? If you're dogging a rep or taking a rep off, like, why are you here? Like, you can leave pretty." And that kind of like motivated me, even though I was hurting. It was like you have to push through this stuff. Like you have to get through it, and that kind of I learned a lot through those moments coming out that kidney transplant and pushing through those things.
What's the difference between being a college athlete and being a professional athlete?
The commitment, I guess, say, and then because a coach isn't there to hold your hand. Like, yes, Coach Edgar and Jordan were out there with us, but at the same time, they're not on us like if we were in college. You know, they grades, just on you. The college coach, how college coach is on you. You're pretty much by yourself. You know, even when you go to track meets, you don't have that coach there with you. Yeah. So you're warming up by yourself. You're kind of coaching yourself, like, oh, they got the blocks on that rep right there, so like that. So it's a little bit more. You have to be detailed, and at the same time, you're kind of your own coach. At the same time, you know, you're kind of your own coach at the same time, and kind of learning how to do things by yourself. And I think Jordan and Coach Edgar both coached us to kind of be independent and be coaches and athletes at the same time. Because like even when we go through a rep, before we even finish a rep, we already knew what we did wrong before we even came back to them for us to correct them, for them to correct us. Yeah, during that phase, I knew I did that wrong. But they did a lot of detailed work with us, and so we knew when we messed up. So when we did go to meet by ourselves, we kind of knew how to operate, when to warm up, what to eat, stuff like that.
Coaching and being an elite athlete are two different worlds. I remember interviewing an Olympic gold medalist, and he told me that he worried more when he coached than he ever did as an athlete. What are the your coaches were successful in teaching you how to analyze yourself, how to compete? At the high school level, are you teaching these kids how to warm up on their own, how to start seeing and being observant of what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong?
Yeah, so well, we have our own warm. We have a warm up that we do together. Coach Jones does a great job. Like he has the distance kids, and he lets me coach the sprinters how I coach the sprinters. That's one reason why I because he was like, I want you to coach track how you coach track, and he doesn't really micromanage me, so he lets me do and coach how I want to coach. So the kids are actually starting to understand, like when I'm doing drills with them and being like real detailed with them, because they know I'm very detailed. Like if they're doing something wrong, I'll correct it. Like they understand why we're doing things. You know, some coaches will be like, oh, let's go do this drill, and there's no explanation for it. Like, okay, why are we doing this? So the kids actually understand why we do certain drills and the intent of the drill. And we're about 4 weeks into this, and the kids are actually saying, oh, I understand now why we did that drill and why you want us to fully extend our hips and stuff like that. And so they're understanding why we do things. So yeah, that's kind of the kids actually coming around to it. Like instead of kicking their butt, you know, kids love to kick their butt when they don't know how to run. So they're understanding how to snap their heel up under our butt so we can get to that full range of motion, our front side mechanics. And they're finally starting to understand those little things of why those things matter.
What is what's the biggest challenge in being a high school coach today?
For me this year, because it's my first year coaching high school, it was the time management part for me. Because like I said, I'm detailed, so I'm used to what my private coaching kids practices are 2 hours. Like I fully 2 hours, we get the work in that we need to get in, plus the workout. I maybe have an hour, maybe an hour and a half some days, and maybe some days you're working with less time than that. So you have to pick and choose which drills you want to focus on. What's your goal for that day? So that's kind of like the challenge for me as a high school coach, is kind of taking things from what I like to do and trying to find out the things that are going to make the biggest impact towards the kids and what they're going to understand the most. So that's probably the hardest thing about being a high school coach for me.
What is the thing that you miss the most about skeleton racing?
The nervousness, just going, walking up to the line and like looking at the ice and then like taking off. You know, the nervousness for it and the adrenaline that goes into it. You know, because it happens so fast. Like you're hitting the turns, if you're shifting your shoulders and stuff like that. So I miss the excitement of it and then the nervousness of it and then the adrenaline. It's a crazy feeling. It's a crazy feeling. I liked it, and I would love to get back into it if I had the time. You know, if I had the time to get back into it, I would love to do it again. Yeah.
Now, who was your professional manager when you were an elite athlete?
Andy Stubbs.
I love Andy. Just, you know, he is one of the funniest guys, and you know, no matter what track meet I go to, if I hear him there, and I know his brother pretty well too, they would just crack me up. So I asked you if you have any good Andy Stubbs stories or how he talked to you about being an elite athlete. Anything you'd like to share?
I remember the first time I met Andy, actually met him through Coach Eder. So when we were in Oregon, I had ran that 996 and talking to Andy and just how laid back he was. You know, some agents are probably all business, but Andy was like really personal and just really, like you said, funny and just talking to that up. And so I've actually had a beer with Andy, just hanging out just as a athlete and a manager. So I really appreciate Andy. Like I said, he sends like daily emails about birthdays and reaching out to all. Yeah, he's really hands-on with his athletes, and that's why I really loved him as an agent. He really worked for the agent and cared about you.
Being an elite athlete, a lot of athletes try to do stuff on their own, but then they learn that there's a lot to being an elite athlete. So how long did you work with Andy?
I worked with him throughout my whole track career and going into the skeleton also. So even when I was out, when I had lost my contract, he was still out there trying to get me another contract. Like I was like, hey, part in the track, I'll do my part over here and try my best to get you back under a contract. So like I said, I worked with him throughout the whole 4 years I did track and skeleton. So he was really helpful. He was really hands-on and really helpful.
Yeah, he's a good guy. He doesn't give up. That's one of the things I like about him, and I've seen him all over. We're going to go back to skeleton for a little bit. How did you decide to give skeleton a chance?
I was choosing between rugby and skeleton. I actually talked to Carlin a little bit about, just because like he was a fast guy. And I was like, I can kind of do what he's doing, But skeleton, I ended up going with skeleton just because of the opportunity to go like a different route. My mom and my dad always say I'm the risk taker of the family. I'll go out and do anything pretty much, except ride a roller coaster.
But I get that.
So I did. It was an opportunity and a new experience. I love doing new things and making new experiences. So I kind of just like dove head first into it and just took the risk. And I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. I love the people I met. I still talk to them today. I still talk to them today. So it's like the people you meet and then the stories, like our stories kind of end up crossing each other because we're all looking for the same thing, trying to be best athletes that we can and chasing that ultimate goal. So that's why I really chose skeleton. I just really enjoyed like the people I was around.
How long did you try rugby?
That 1 week. It was that 1 week. I was out. I was dying because I didn't know I was in kidney transplant. So we did the conditioning. I think it was the beep drill, I believe it was, that we did, and I didn't make it through. I was done maybe after like the first or second beep. I couldn't do it because my back was tightening up so bad I couldn't move. Like it was basically paralyzed. What I was going through at the same time, but it's like, why the heck? I just had a whole track season. I'm still out here dying. Like, why can't I do any of this? So, so I just tried rugby for a week. I actually liked it a lot. I was looking at a rugby club in Dallas to kind of keep pursuing it, but then I ended up getting called a skeleton coach, and he was like, "Hey, come out to Lake Placid." So I went through that whole little process.
Cool. Now, with the pandemic, you have track in the regular spring season. Are you having football at this time too, or is that fall? Or how are they doing it in Texas?
Okay, out here in Texas. So we had the full football season. I don't think we lost any games. We lost two. We ended up losing 2 games. Not losing like in the scoreboard, but we lost about 2 games because the other school had gotten put on shutdown because of COVID. But we went through the football pretty smoothly as best as you couldn't go through COVID. We had kids. We lost kids during crucial games and lost them for 2 weeks and had to come back. But we actually did pretty good this year. We ended up making it to the playoffs. We lost in the first round, but I believe it was his first time in school history that we had made playoffs 2 years in a row. So the whole coaching staff and, like I said, Coach Olsen did a great job of being on top of everybody about taking care of business, wearing your mask and washing your hands, doing the whole stuff that we need to do through COVID, and then going into track. I don't think track be as bad because they limited to, I believe, 8 teams. Only 8 teams go to the track meet now here in Texas. So if you're bringing a JV team, it's only 4 schools that are going to be there. But if you're only doing varsity, it's 8 teams. So I think it's going to be pretty smooth for track because you're already kind of spaced out anyways, not really touching anybody. So track meet is going to be also, so you're not there like 1 o'clock in the morning, or 12 o'clock at night for a high school meet that's like 30. So
that's a big difference. Been to a few places that meets like that. What is I'm talking to everybody about the Tokyo Olympics. What's your gut? What's your guts tell you about in a small town in Texas. Do you think the Olympics are going to even happen this year?
I mean, you look at the NBA going through a season, baseball going through a season, NFL went through a whole season. So I don't see why the Olympic Committee or Tokyo couldn't figure out a way to make it happen. Honestly, I mean, yes, it's going to be a lot. It's not going to be your standard big festivities and stuff like that. But I believe if everybody works together, it can happen. You know, like I said, if the NBA can do it, the NFL can do it, the baseball can do it, I believe the Olympics can do it. They just have to have the manpower to do it, pretty much. So I'm hoping it happens. I love track, and I'm tired of not seeing it on TV.
I agree. Well, Quentin Butler, you've survived 38 minutes with me. Thank you very, very much. Best wishes with your track workout today, and best wishes with your health. And really enjoyed talking with you. We will be producing it this week. We will have it up on RunBlogRun. Okay. We'll send you links about it too. Okay. And,
I really
no, thank you. And we'll tell Stubbsy that we talked to you too. That'll make him happy for the day, you know, at least for an hour or two until he finds something to complain about. But all right. This is Larry Eder with RunBlogRun. This is Socialing the Distance. We featured Quentin Butler, who was an elite sprinter and then also competed in skeleton and had some health challenges, and now is a high school coach and educator. And Quentin, thank you so much. It was great talking with you.
All right.
Stay safe, my friend, and we'll get this up soon. Okay?
Have a great day.
Thank you. Hey, sports fans, it's Larry Eder with RunBlogRun. This is Socialing the Distance, and this week we featured Quentin Butler. Quentin was an elite sprinter, 996 and 2095, plus some pretty impressive 4x1 partnerships, as well as 4x4. The man is insane. Quentin's now a high school teacher, high school educator, and a track and field coach in a small town in Texas. And the reason why I wanted to do this interview, and we've got some others coming up, is I wanted to show elite athletes in our audience that there is life post-elite track and field. Quentin's had the kind of life that would make a great novel. He played baseball and football, did track in junior high, came back to track in high school, college, ran track at a small college, and then Andy Stubbs, a professional manager who we call Stubbsy, a very charming Australian who has a plethora of track and field athletes, managed Quentin during his 4 years as a professional athlete. He was sponsored by Nike for 3 years. And when his interesting things happened, so in 2018, he was trying out for skeleton, part of the Winter Olympics, as well as rugby, kind of seeing where he was going to go after that. His contract was not renewed after 3 years with Nike, and Andy was working on a new contract when Quentin had a physical, and it found out he was in stage 5 of kidney failure. He got a call from his doctor, received a call from his doctor, and the doctor told him to drive to the local hospital. And Quentin had no idea he was in kidney failure, and it required an organ transplant. A friend of 17 years, one of his oldest friends, gave him one of her kidneys. It was a match, and now it took him a few months. He said there was pain in the area. He actually ran an indoor season in 19 after this and went 663. His PB was 661 at 60 meters. Pulled a hamstring at the U.S. Indoor Champs, and that was it. He's now been a high school educator for just over a year and seems to really be enjoying it, coaching, assistant coach in football, coaching track and field, And last year they had about 11 kids out for track. This year, before the season, 2 weeks before the season starts, they're already at 15, and he thinks they're going to have a great turnout. But what I was impressed with Quentin was with his confidence, his thoughtfulness, and how he's taken challenging experiences where a lot of people would have given up, and he's moved on with his life. I would love to have him coach my kid. He seems like a great guy, and he understands the role that a high school coach has with young men and women. They change lives. And that's the biggest message. It's not about running, jumping, and throwing. It's about how you take those esoteric activities and how you live your life. What have you learned from winning? What have you learned from losing? How does that shape your attitude? How can you be positive and optimistic and explain to another generation that there's good things in the world and there's great things to experience, and that sport is just one of them. Those are the life messages and the things that we learn. And that's what I'm hoping to do with some of our upcoming programming. But I wanted to thank Quentin Butler, and we learned about him through Andy Stubbs. Andy's a longtime professional manager. His brother, Pete, was one as well, and still is. But Andy's always been a no BS guy with me, and we've had a lot of fun. And when I ask him a question, he answers a question. But it seems to me he's like the most successful managers. He's more than just a manager to his athletes. And that's pretty special. And it's obvious that he picked a great young man in Quentin Butler, and that Quentin has risen above his challenges and will, in a small town in Texas, give another generation the chance to be the best that they can in track and field, in the schoolroom, and in life. This is Larry Eder with RunBlogRun. This is Socialing the Distance. We featured Quentin Butler, a former elite track and field athlete who tested himself in skeleton and then was tested in kidney failure and is now a high school educator in Texas. If you like RunBlogRun, please like us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. That's how we get paid. It's all about the eyeballs, baby. And if you love us, go to the YouTube channel. We have 369 videos, all produced by poor Mike Deering last year. He had to deal with me a lot. And we have 2,500 audios and videos and podcasts that Michael has done, my son Brian has done. And I wanted to thank Adam and Michael for coming up with the titling of our programming, Socialing the Distance, Athletics Chat, Combos with Larry, and the whole concept behind it. And I wanted to thank my dear brother Brian, who in 2005 began to talk to me about this thing called blogging, and I had no interest. I tried it a couple times in 2006, and by June of 2007, I was hooked, and I've been doing it ever since. And yes, it has changed my life, and hopefully changed yours. This is Larry Eder with RunBlogRun. Stay safe. Talk to you soon.